This video is a bit of a change of pace from my normal content. I am going to cover the state of the channel, where it's headed, and finish with some spoilers from this month's releases. The main thrust of this channel has been the Run the Length match report series, and I would like to keep it that way. But those videos take 2 to 3 weeks to make, and I can't really keep up the 2 per month schedule for much longer. With that being said, I still want to put out 2 videos worth of content each month, so going forward there will be 1 episode of Run the Length each month and 1 random shorter video like this one. With that out of the way, let's move to the fun part of the video. Veteran Ox was spoiled on the forums earlier this week, and I thought it would be a perfect time to give some first impressions and talk about what he brings to Butchers. Before we can talk about what he brings to the faction, let's talk about where Butchers are as a team. In my opinion, Butchers are in the middle of the pack balance-wise. They saw a mix of buffs and nerfs across the player base that really have shuffled around who the strongest ones are. But captains, however, are another matter. The reduction in power that Filet was given was incredibly justified, and she remains quite strong. Ox, however, is not in a great spot. He has always been susceptible to counterattacks, and now with the home crown changes, counterattacks have become more prevalent. On top of this, a few of the models that he could really dial up to 11, Shank and Gutter specifically, are less good or lost synergies they had with Ox. Veteran Ox further exacerbates this issue, since at the moment he can only be included in a Filet list. Looking at Vet Ox's card, the 2 big things that stand out to me are 1, that he has access to a very powerful damage buff, and 2, that he is a control piece, which is something Butchers are sorely lacking. 2-inch melee combined with Lash Out, Never Say Die, and Get Stuck In make him incredibly difficult to kill. If he moves up and spends 1 influence just to get stuck in up, he becomes an incredibly dangerous counterattacker with 7 unmodified tack, 2-inch reach, and low pushes. Whirling Chains seems like it will be very helpful for setting up Filet's Blood Rain by grouping enemies up. His ability The Old Ways seems a bit like it resides in the realm of Magical Christmas Land at first. But if you consider the common tactic of setting up a kill for first activation of the next turn, it seems quite good. I think the ideal setup would be something like leave an opponent's model at 1, then walk Ox up to engage it. On the next turn, kill it with Vet Ox, and move him to where you need the aura to be later in the turn. It seems quite strong. Where Vet Ox seems lacking for me is survivability. While he is incredibly tanky for Butchers, he will likely die if he gets knocked down, as a large portion of his survivability comes from counterattacks. He also suffers from a bit of the age-old Butcher problem of being controlled. While he can control beaters and some goal threats, I think other control pieces deal with him well, particularly Harry, who is everywhere right now. This is also further exacerbated by the fact that Lash Out can trigger Rising Anger at a really inopportune moment. Lastly, I want to mention the concept of the color pie. This is a game design term most commonly used to refer to Magic the Gathering. For those not familiar, the factions of Magic the Gathering are broken down into 5 colors, and each color does certain things well, poorly, or not at all. The Guild Ball factions are similar to this. Fish don't kill models very well, Morticians have low kick stats, and Brewers don't have dodges. With all things like this, there are exceptions. And typically the exceptions are some of the most powerful pieces in the entire faction. Alchemists largely don't have 2-inch melee, but models that do are some of their best. Vet Siren does momentous damage, despite the rest of Fish not doing that. With Vet Ox being a control piece in a faction that can only control by projecting threat, I think at the very least it makes him one to watch. It is a very poorly kept secret that Fish are on top right now. They have 2 incredibly strong captains with different game plans, great control elements, and reach all over the place. Now the Hag is being released, and she does all of these things quite well. She is all about her character plays. Fisher's Reel seems to be what you want to be doing with her. Quick Time for 1 seems really good. The character play Decoy is on grayscales, and I have never seen anyone use it. But when you combine it with Fear, it could be quite punishing. The Hag also brings a pseudo-influence with her Talisman, which might allow her to put Decoy up every turn, where you typically can't spare an influence to put it on grayscales. Shadowlike seems good, but the Legendary, dear lord this is good. Granted, it's only a 4-inch pulse, but the effect is nuts. 2-inch push on enemies, 2-inch push on allies, and there's no directional restriction? Yes, she takes damage to use the play, but you can heal it pretty easily, and then you combine it with Fisher's Reel? Just nuts. I think she's auto-include, look for her in every single 9-man roster. As far as her weaknesses, she's only 4-0 with 14 boxes, and if you can get around fear, I'm looking at you, Vet Rage, she will go down fast. Decoy can also be pulled off by things like Molotov, even if they miss. Moving on, Morticians are also getting a release this month. Brainpan and Memory are maybe the most cleverly designed models Steamforge has done to date. Their mechanics are complicated on the card, but I think in practice they are fairly simple. Let's start with Memory. He doesn't give up VP and has no move stat and does not activate. When another friendly model activates, Memory makes a 2-inch dodge. This includes Brainpan, so his max number of dodges is 6 per turn. When he dies, he comes back during Brainpan's activation. Brainpan can make Memory attack or dodge 2 inches with Puppet Show, and he can use pulling the strings to make Memory kick. With me so far? Brainpan also has the ability to make other friendly models kick to him, which is quite similar to On My Mark. When Brainpan passes to Memory, he gains +2/+2 kick, and then when the kick is successful, Memory can make a teamwork action for 1 less, similar to how Showboating or the Harry Aura works. So the wet dream of a turn with Brainpan and Memory is activate Graves, dodge Memory 2, activate Casket, dodge Memory 2, activate Avarice and Greed, dodge Memory 4, activate Obulus, dodge Memory 2, activate Dirge, dodge Memory 2, activate Brainpan, dodge Memory 2, use Puppet Show twice to dodge Memory 4 inches, pass the ball to Memory, and use Give and Go to dodge another 4 inches, then use Pulling the String to kick a goal. Total goal threat, 26 inches. Now, obviously this isn't going to happen, but even part of this chain seems strong, and Morticians need a good striker. He probably takes Bonesaw's spot on the roster. As far as countering him, killing Memory shuts down all the shenanigans until Brainpan activates. Brainpan has super low tech and is only a 4-1 with no defensive tech. And he only has 14 boxes. This analysis was put together with the assistance of Alex Bots. You can listen to Alex Bots over at Strictly the Worst Guild Ball podcast, and you can follow him on Twitter at Slothrop. As always, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. You can find me on Twitter at the Curkov. Make sure you let me know in the comments if you disagree with my analysis, and if you would enjoy seeing more content like this in the future.